Hey guys, it is me, Jacqueline, and for today's video I have a non-spoilery series review for the On Dublin Street series, and this is by Samantha Young. I have read all 6 books. I know there are 6 other novellas. I don't know if she's coming out with any more novellas. I haven't personally read the novellas. I am just not the biggest fans of novellas. Some novellas I do enjoy when it comes to series, but others I tend to avoid. If you personally have read the novellas and think I should, let me know down below in the comments. But for this video, I will be talking about the 6 books a part of this companion series. I have the books as ebooks, so when I'm talking about that particular one a part of this series, I will leave the cover of the book on the screen. So what exactly is this series about? It is a new adult companion series. Like I said, it has 6 books a part of the series. Even though we don't really follow the same perspectives throughout the series, we do get to see older or other characters that we saw in the older books a part of this series, if that makes sense. So for example, characters that were in book 1 will be in book 6, even though book 6 will follow a different perspective. I'm just going to quickly run through the series now and talk about each book, but let's just do an overview. So I'm going to just list off the books in order and then say my rating for it. First book we have is obviously On Dublin Street. I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. The second book we have is Down London Road, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. The third book a part of this series is Before Jamaica Lane, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The fourth book a part of this series is Fall from Indian Palace, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. The fifth book a part of this series is Echoes of Scotland Street, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The final book a part of this series is Moonlight on Nightingale Way, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Overall, I would give this series a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is a great new adult series. Not my personal all-time favorite or anything, but I flew through these books. I was addictive and I wanted to know more about these characters, and I love the fact, like I mentioned, we got to see older characters in the newer books, and it was just a lot of fun to read. Before I get onto the book reviews, I just want to quickly reference my favorites in chronological order of this series. My favorites go first being Moonlight on Nightingale Way, following Echoes of Scotland Street. Then we have Before Jamaica Lane, following On Dublin Street. Then we have Fall from Indian Palace, and then finally Down London Road. Now, like I said, this is a companion series, so you don't necessarily have to even read these books in the exact order. You could read them in any order, but if you are planning on eventually reading the entire series, I think it is best to go in order, just because time flies by. It is a really wide time range this series takes place in, so you're going to get spoiled per se if you read like the 6th book first instead of the first book a part of this series, if you know what I mean. If you aren't planning on that and you just want to read one of these, you can definitely just pick them up at random, but like I said, you might be spoiled for other characters a part of this series, so that is a fair warning. I'm actually only going to say the summary for the first book just because this is non-spoilery, so I don't want to spoil people for the other remaining ones. I will say with some pros and cons for those other specific books. I just won't get into the summary portion. The first book we have is On Dublin Street. This is the one I first started with, obviously. In this book, we follow our main protagonist named Jocelyn, and she lives in Scotland. She's originally from the United States, but she actually moved from the United States to Scotland because of family tragedy. So in the beginning of the book, we follow Jocelyn as she's trying to look for a new apartment, and she actually finds one on Dublin Street. From then, the story takes off as we see Jocelyn sort of adjusting to her new life, and as she's meeting different people, and sort of as we see Jocelyn almost accept her past through this story. Also, as we see her connect with different characters, romance happens. Like I said, this is a new adult contemporary series, and so that is all I have to say about the first book. Like I said, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. It was really fast, it was easy to get into. It's a new adult book, so it goes by like that for me. The reason the first book isn't my favorite part of the series is because the romance isn't my favorite part of the series, and more specifically, main character and the love interest in the first book, they aren't my favorite characters. I really did enjoy their romance and how they got to develop throughout this series still, but when I first read the love story, I was like, okay, I'm about it, but not like in it. So that's why I only gave it a 4 to 5 stars, and that's why it's actually my 4th favorite book a part of this series. The second book a part of this series is Down London Road. I gave this a 3 to 5 stars. I liked this book, but I didn't love it, and the reason I didn't love it was because I found it lacked compared to the first book, and I just don't really like this main character as much as I liked Jocelyn. And like I said, I mean, I enjoyed Jocelyn, but I didn't love her, so I only really liked this second book main character, and I found the romance to be likable, not enjoyable. Third book we have is Before Jamaica Lane. I enjoyed this romance and the main character more than I did the first book, so that's why it's actually the higher one, and it's my 3rd favorite part of this series. I just found that it developed more and it seemed a little bit more realistic compared to the first book romance and the second book romance, which is why it is above those two. The 4th book we have is Fall from Indian Palace. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars like I mentioned, and I like this book yet again. I did enjoy it more than the second book a part of this series. The thing about the 4th book was I was really excited for it since we actually followed a main character that was featured in the other 3 previous books a part of this series, so I was really excited to see how things were going to develop for her. But I just thought it felt really flat. Yet again, I really enjoyed the main character. I didn't enjoy the love interest and I didn't enjoy the romance, but I did like this book, so I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And I do think it is definitely above the second book in this series because I did enjoy the main character. The 5th book a part of this series is Echoes of Scotland Street. I was super duper excited for this one since we also follow another character that is featured in the other 4 previous books a part of this companion series. So I was so excited to see how he was going to get his sort of love romance thing going on, and I really love the love interest in this book, so oh my god, I really enjoyed it. And I did also actually enjoy the main character as well, so it was just a really good combination, and that's why it is actually my 2nd favorite part of this series. Then we have the 6th book, which is Moonlight on Nightingale Way, and this is definitely my favorite. Not only did I love the love interest, I loved the main character, I loved the romance, I loved how we got to see the other characters develop, and there was like an epilogue. It was really, really good for me. I think it was just such a perfect conclusion. Starting off with the pros, I have to say if you do love new adult, this is a great series to pick up. Even if you just read one of the books a part of this series, it is a great new adult book. It's a really fun, easy, entertaining series. It's very character driven, so if you don't really like that, I wouldn't recommend to pick it up. And then I only actually have one con for the overall series, and that is each book followed the same guideline when it came to the romance department. What I mean by that is the couples sort of followed the same guideline in the sense that I noticed a pattern. So let's say in the first book on page 80, the couple had their first kiss. In the remaining books, the other couples would have their first kiss on page 81, 82, 83, 84. It was just noticeable enough for me to realize, like, hey, wait, I realized about in the same amount of pages or the same percent, the other couples did the exact same thing at the exact same time. I don't know if I'm even really explaining this right. I hope I am. It was just something very weird to pick upon because I didn't really notice that ever. In other companion series that I have read that are more contemporary or new adult based, I don't notice this issue, but for some reason I just found that all of the romances happened at the same rate, which was just weird for me. So that's why it is a con. That is it for my video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below in the comment section what you thought of my review, and if you've actually read any of these books, what you thought of them, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!